Hey guys, let's talk about tonight's episode of Arrow. And for the most part, I enjoyed it, but it felt like it was a bit frantic. I don't know, it just seemed like he was a bit all over the place. We had a lot going on with Sarah, which was interesting. You know, she obviously wasn't Sarah that we all knew and loved from the first two seasons. And that is because she really has no soul at this moment. And she was intent on killing Thea because obviously Thea is the one who killed her. And she had sort of this bloodlust in her, and it was making her very manic, very crazy. And ultimately there was sort of like this spell put on her, and she was able to get her soul back. Now, the person who put the soul on her was a man named John Constantine. And if you ever watch the series Constantine that was out last season, which got canceled, they actually brought on the same actor, the same character from that series onto this series, which is an interesting thing that they usually don't do, but that's what they did. And so for anybody who was a fan of the show Constantine, would have been a fan of seeing him reprise his role on the Arrow tonight. So he was in the flashbacks, he was in the present day storyline, but it kind of, I don't know, it kind of all felt a little weird for me. I never watched Constantine, and so his presence in the flashbacks were a bit all over the place. It didn't quite seem like it fit in with the storyline that we've been getting from the past. And then to see him in the present, and Oliver pick up the phone and be like, "Hey, you owe me a favor. Like, you owe me, so come back and repay the favor." And then him doing the spell and bringing back Sarah's soul was fine and everything. And it's great because we all know that this is to get her to the new series League of Assassins. But I don't know, it all just felt a little just, I don't know, everything just felt a little schizophrenic in this episode for me. We were jumping from scene to scene, like boom, 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 boom. There was stuff going on with Diggle and Lance, which was fine, and he found out some information for Diggle about his brother with regards to Hive, courtesy of Damien Dark, and all that was fine and everything. But then all this other stuff just seemed like it was a bit, I don't know, everything just seemed really quick and jumpy and all over the place in this episode. I still liked it because I liked all the stuff that was going on with Sarah. I think she's a very interesting character, and the fact that Oliver found out that his sister and Sarah, and Laurel went to Nanda Parbat to resurrect his sister, and they didn't turn it into this big ordeal where Oliver was all, upset and was having all these scenes with his sister, because at the end of the day, he was right. He has no grounds to judge what his sister has made this decision to do, because he's kept a lot of secrets from everybody. So I like that they just sort of, he took the information, he was upset, but he didn't hold on to it, and they had a really good conversation about it. And I also like the conversation that Laurel had with him, which was that he made the decision to take his sister to Nanda Parbat to put her in the Lazarus pit, but he's now holding judgment on her for doing the same thing for her sister, which is what anybody would do for their loved one. Now, it's different when somebody has died and they do this, because at the end of the day, Thea wasn't dead when Oliver took her to the Lazarus pit, but nonetheless, it was more about how everybody's relationships have evolved on this series. And it was nice to see that Laurel and Oliver could continue to move forward with trust and not continue to sort of be angry with one another. And I think that at the end of the day, that's what's important moving forwards on this season. So Thea was being attacked by Sarah. Ultimately, at one point, Thea was even like, "I'm okay if you take my life." And I was like, "Really? Are you?" But, she knew that what she had done had ultimately brought Sarah to this point. But it wasn't her fault. It was the fault of her father's, Malcolm Merlin. So, we got a lot of interesting revelations in this episode. I guess, like, just character development is more of what I would say in this episode. And I like that Lance helped Diggle get some closure with his brother, and why he was basically assassinated by the Hive organization, and the fact that Damien Dark had that information and gave it to Lance, was good to move Diggle's storyline forwards. So we also found out that Curtis ultimately was able to decode the voice recording from Palmer that Felicity gave him in last week's episode. And at the end of it, we find out that he is still alive. So that is obviously a nice piece of information to find out that he has not died. I mean, we all knew that because let's face it, we all know he's going to be on the Legends of Tomorrow series. But the fact that Felicity now knows that he's not dead and that he ultimately just needs some help is a great revelation in the series. But as for the Constantine character, he was all right, and I'm sure we're going to see him again. And I guess it was cool that they brought on a character from another completely different series, a completely different network, and they brought him onto a CW show and allowed him to be the same character. Was cool, but I don't know. I don't know if it worked for me. Sorry. I just don't know if it worked for me. But I mean, it's fine. It was fine. So let me know what you guys thought of this week's episode. Leave a comment, like, subscribe. Don't leave any spoilers down below because I know some of you like to spoil me and stuff. And I will definitely see you next week. Bye, guys.